Good morning, everyone. Please rise and body our spirit and let's sing. Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope he shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide your journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
Good morning, everyone. You showed up after last night. Thank you for coming. Welcome to First Universalist Church of Denver, a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, a sanctuary for spiritual growth, community, and connections. Building a world we dream about together, and last night sure did it. I am Joan Weisskut, and I will be your worship associate today. So to everyone that's right here now in our building, and to those who are joining us via live stream, we're so glad you're making First Universalist part of your spiritual journey. We also give a very special welcome to those of you who are newer to our congregation. We would love to get to know you better, and you can help us by completing a visitor form at our welcome table after the service or online. And if you do that, we'll add you to our weekly happenings, which is an email, and it will tell you everything about what's going on here, and there's lots. I invite you to also stick around after the service for coffee and conversation in our hospitality center right across the way. And Charlie?
Good morning, I'm Charlie Lyon. I was so happy when I learned I get to speak for 23 minutes on legacy.
Charlie?
Yeah.
2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, shoot. Well, we'll be needing that. All right. I do have a couple of thoughts. When Martha and I joined the church, 20 some odd years ago, we discovered quickly that through religious education, the good works of the church, the congregation, the community, that we wanted to help perpetuate First U. First U started in the 19th century, and here we are in the 21st. How do we continue it to the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th? Our response, like many of you, was to change our will and put a portion of our estate to pay it forward to continue the good works. The other thought I had is how wonderful it is every Sunday morning to come into Fellowship Hall, into this gorgeous sanctuary, and just love it. And I kind of take it for granted a little bit. Well, it wasn't that long ago, a lot of you will remember, as I was walking in, I'd think, where are the 5-gallon buckets going to be to catch the rain? How many of them? They were everywhere because our roof leaked. It seriously did. But through the amazing gift of Kay Robinson and her estate, these issues were addressed immediately and going forward. Kay was a visionary. Her legacy gift of over $800,000 took care of immediate needs, but it also resulted in the building for our future and creating this beautiful sanctuary, our facility, powered by renewable energy. Her vision helped start this amazing rebuild and inspired spiritual growth, community, and connections. So this morning and next Sunday, Woody Emlyn and a host of others will be at a table at coffee hour and would love to share with you more about legacy giving. Together, we can continue the good works of this church. Thanks.
Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn.
Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes, with love or hate we make a bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are hearts can hear a different call.
Our opening words today. Ancient as the home is the temple. Ancient as the workbench is the altar. Ancient as the sword is the sacrificial fire. Ancient as the soldier is the priest. Older than written language is spoken, prayer. Older than painting is the thought of the nameless one. Religion is the first and last, the universal language of the human heart. Differing words describe, it keeps shrinking. Oh, goodness. I mean, it's this teeny little thing here. Anybody have a bigger copy? Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. Differing words describe the outward appearance of things. Diverse symbols represent that which stands beyond and within. Yet every person's hunger is the same, and every heart communicates with heart. Ever the vision leads on with the many gods, or with the one, with a holy land washed by ocean waters, or a holy land within the heart. In temperament, we do differ, yet we are dedicated to one august destiny. Creeds divide us, but we share one common quest. And now, if you will join me in the words to light our chalice. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, to serve human need, and to help one another.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning, everyone. I am not Miss Naomi, and I am not Austin Carr either. My name is Birch Q. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs, and it is my honor to be your intern minister, and this morning to give you the wisdom story. And I'll need some help from all of my littles and young folks and young at heart. Would you please come up and join me? Thank you. I think you all can help me with something. Miss Naomi tells me that you're learning about some pretty interesting things in Sunday school, is that right? Yeah, maybe. And we grown-ups don't hear a lot about that. And I wondered if you could tell all of the grown-ups here, what have you been learning about? Can someone tell me? Quinn. You've been learning about different types of religions. Are there any ones in particular you're studying right now? Someone else. Stella. Christianity. The ones who worship the God of Abraham. Can someone tell me something new that they've learned this year? Yes, Bear. It looks like a grown man with a beard. That is something new. Charlotte. Different religions see Jesus as a different kind of person. What's important about that? Why is that a good thing for us to know? Someone who has an EJ.
Yeah. So it's kind of good for us to know that because it kind of gives us diversity, and that's kind of a thing that is really important in this church, and a church that has a bunch of different religions here. It's kind of shows a bit of diversity.
It shows a bit of diversity. It shows some of the diversity that we might be experiencing here in this church. We've got people who come from lots of faith backgrounds, and that's what Reverend Eric and I are talking about today. Not all of us grew up as UUs like all of you are, and that's something that we're talking about today. I understand that also today next week you're going to start learning about some of the texts that these different faiths hold sacred, and that's also what we're talking about today. Thank you so much for helping me and helping all of us know a little bit more about what you're studying about and learning about. So as you go to your classes, I wish you well. I hope you learn lots of new and exciting things today. Thank you.
It is always good to be part of an organization that doesn't just wait for the fire to start before they begin to act. Part of an organization that knows the challenges that are alive in our lives and in the world around us, and is committed not just for a day or a week, but for years and decades. And so every year, this church makes a commitment to support the local food banks in our community. And we've been doing that long before the federal government shut down. But this year, it's more important than ever. People have been saying, what can we do? How can we help our neighbors in need in this moment and this challenge? And it was perfectly timed that this week we give our offering away, as we do so often, to Partners Beyond Our Walls. And this week, we're giving it away to IFCS. To tell us more about it, Sandra, why don't you come up and clue us all in?
I am always so glad to be here. Thank you all for having me. So yes, Integrated Family Community Services, known as IFCS, was started in 1964. And IFCS exists to help families, individuals, children, and seniors who are just struggling daily to make ends meet. So through our food program, our financial assistance, and other supportive services, IFCS offers hope and practical help when life becomes difficult, and we're seeing some difficulties right now. I have been at IFCS for 28 years, and let me tell you, why I am so passionate about this organization, because I see firsthand how much of a difference that we are making in the lives of so many who come to our door, oftentimes as a last resort. IFCS treats everyone with compassion, dignity, respect, and we don't judge anyone who comes to our doors. You're there for help, you're there for food, we are going to provide it to you. I generally believe in its mission, our mission, to care for our neighbors and to strengthen our community, and we can only continue doing this with your assistance. So let me tell you about one of many stories that I see each day working at IFCS. This is a story about James. So when James first came to the IFCS market, he hesitated to come in. And I kind of nudged him in a little, come on, James, what can I do for you? So he really did explain to me that after a recent surgery that left him unable to work, he was struggling to pay his bills and had very little for food. A friend encouraged him to seek out IFCS, and so he came over for help. What James found was more than just food. It was kindness, it was dignity, it was relief. Volunteers like Karen and her husband, Dr. John, helped him shop for produce, pantry staples, and household essentials. For the first time in weeks, James went home with healthy food and a really good sense of hope. Over time, James has become a familiar face in the market, where he shares his gratitude, and he even volunteers sometimes at the market. And James said to me in a note that he left on my desk, IFCS doesn't just feed me, you all remind me that I'm not alone. So stories like James shows us that the IFCS food market is more than just a place to pick up groceries. It's a place where neighbors care for one another and where hope is renewed, one visit at a time. It has been really, really hard for us these last few weeks. IFCS is, I always tell my staff, we are proactive instead of reactive. So from the time of the pandemic to the influx of the immigrants, we are there and ready. I have a whopping big staff of 9 of us, but we want to be proactive and we want to help in whatever crisis that comes our way. So with the support and donations from you all, you would be helping us directly impact the IFCS program, especially the market at IFCS. These contributions will ensure that all families like James and maybe your neighbors, or even maybe you, who are expecting these unexpected hardships, will have a consistent access to food and nutrition and household essentials with dignity and with choice. So we will now receive the Compassion and Action offering. Thank you so much for your generosity, and thank you so much for having me this morning.
Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and they snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds, illusions that I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions that I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way. But now old friends, they're acting strange. They shake their heads and they tell me that I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions that I recall. I really don't know life at all.
Would you like a hand?
My goodness, it's so good to see you all. We're here to talk about Veterans Day, and it started as Armistice Day in 1919, which was 106 years ago. It became a federal holiday in 1938, and in 1954, it was officially changed to Veterans Day to honor all American veterans, not just those in World War I. Barbara Bauer will share with us her military experience. And following Barbara's presentation, pictures of church members and attendees who are veterans will be shown on the screens with an overlay of their military history. And during this time, Michael Frank and Jerome Gilmore will play America the Beautiful. I also want to take this time to thank Sarah Liebert for all the work she's put into this Veterans Day recognition, and Doug Griffiths, who edited our pictures, most of which dated back decades ago.
Good morning.
I didn't join the Navy for a noble patriotic reason. I thought I was signing up for 2 summers of a reserve officer candidate program I learned about in 1950 when I was a sophomore at Skidmore College in New York. We were told that after attending these 2 programs and after college graduation, we would be commissioned as ensigns in the United States Naval Reserve. Nothing was said about active duty, ever. I signed up for what I thought sounded like an interesting adventure at Great Lakes Naval Training Center with all expenses paid and a small salary. At the end of the 2nd summer, we were told we'd be required to go on active duty for 2 years. It was a shock. And I thought at the time it had all been a mistake. Instead, it turned out to be the best mistake I ever made before or since. So I received the ensign commission at graduation in June 1952 and was given orders to report to the Bureau of Ships Field Activities Division in Washington, D.C. as the Assistant Security Officer and top secrets custodian of the Bureau. My job was like being a librarian for all top secret documents. I was trusted to receive, record, store them safely, then scan and determine which division directors should receive which ones, deliver, have them returned to me, each exchange signed for. I was 21 years old, and prior to this, had never had any job except babysitting for 50 cents an hour. After 18 months, I was promoted to lieutenant junior grade and became the administrative officer of the Field Activities Division. At this point, I decided to stay for another 2 years. I had had interesting, responsible jobs that seemed important and many benefits during my 4 years on active duty. After 4 years, I resigned, or I would have been transferred to a different location, and I had married in the 2nd year of duty. I had to leave the Naval Reserve because I had a baby. Women with children were not allowed. Today, it is allowed. In fact, they have maternity uniforms. About 20 years ago, the VA started offering benefits to all veterans who served during a war and received an honorable discharge. My benefits continue. I call it the gift that keeps on giving. I'm grateful for all of my military life and that I signed up in 1950 with no idea what a wonderful decision it was. Thank you.
In these times, we gather together to hold one another in love, in care, through joy and sorrow. And we share some of those joys and sorrows today, in this moment in the middle of our lives, in the middle of this hour. Xander Trullinger shares that their mother, Rhonda, fell and broke her hip earlier this month. She is in rehab in Englewood. Mimsy Tackney Moen shares that she is recovering well from hand surgery. And we hold Quinn Garlow and their parents, Loretta Notareski and Kevin Garlow, in our hearts. They share that Quinn will have kidney surgery this Friday, November 14th. Our pastoral care associate today is Howard Reutman. If you have any need to share with someone, you can find Howard in the Purple Stole after the service. If you have any joy or concern that emerges in the days and weeks to come, reach out. Reach out to Reverend Eric and our cares leaders, because it is good to be with one another, to love and be loved, to care and be cared for. Peace. Amen. So may it be.
Our reading this morning is called Looking Back by Ursula Le Guin. Remember me before I was a heap of salt, the laughing child who seldom did as she was told or came when she was called, the merry girl who also became Lot's bride, the happy woman who loved her wicked city. Do not remember me with pity. I saw you plodding ahead into the desert of your pitiless faith. Those springs are dry. The earth is dead. I looked back, not forward into death. Forgiving rains dissolve me, and I come, still obedient, still happy, home.
So next week, after Music Sunday, for which you will all undoubtedly be here, we will be doing something we do about once a quarter. We're doing this Pathways to Membership thing, where if you are like, hey, I want to know more about this place, I want to know more about what it means to be a member here, you get to come and spend just a couple hours and we feed you, and it's all very lovely. And if you want to know more about that, talk to me, talk to Nina out there. But I tell you that to say that I will do the same thing that I have done for years when we do Pathways to Membership, and that is, get up and I'll invite people into a conversation. But the one thing that has really changed over the years is I used to ask this one question, and I don't ask it anymore because I always got the same answer from everyone. The question is, why did you come here in the first place? Why did you come? And always, everyone came with the same answer. The systematic theology No? No, that is not what you said. Every single one of you at some point said you came here because you were looking for community, right? You said you were looking for community, and that is absolutely true. I mean, I came here looking for community, and I work here. And it's a world that is filled with separation, right? And so we all have this need to belong. To hearken back to something Birch just said a couple of weeks ago, a place in our life not just to come out, but to come in, right? But even still, while it's true that you came for community, it's only true as far as it goes. Because there are an awful lot of places that we can find and make community, right? At work, in your neighborhood, the gym, the cool little art studio that you go to, community choirs. You can do community in all of those places, but you came here. And part of the reason that you come to a place like this is because there's a community here that speaks to the most important things in our lives. And so while we don't do a deep dive into systematic theology, kind of almost ever, there is, however, this theological underpinning that is at the heart of what we do, even when we don't name it as such. Now, years ago, I was in seminary, and the professor there, she said something that has really stuck with me for a very long time. She was talking about the kind of religious dislocation that many of you have personally felt and experienced, that so many of us have had. And she said, virtually everyone at some point in their life has this experience, this moment, this point at which the things that you have been taught run headlong right into new information, new ideas, and new thoughts that you have had. Right? And it doesn't fit. Something about yourself, or about your neighbors, or about the world, or about good and evil and suffering, you name it. And she said in that moment, two things are likely to happen. She said, for some people, what we were taught to believe is so incredibly important to who we are, to how we understand ourselves, to the way that we have structured our whole lives, that we can't countenance it being wrong. It just isn't possible. And so, for those people, what we do is we put on our blinders, right? And we lock out that new information. We lock it out, and we don't think about it, and we say, well, the earth can't possibly circle around the sun. And we not only block it out for ourselves, but so often when you have power, right? You throw Galileo in jail. Or you say the text couldn't possibly contradict itself. It's inerrant in every possible way. And you just refuse to talk about that thing that was handed to you. You strap on the blinders and you ignore what doesn't fit so that you can stay safe in the place that you are. Now, she said that's one thing that happens. She said there's another thing that happens. She said that for some of us, we have that same experience. We see something, we hear something, we learn something, and it runs headlong right into what we were taught and what we thought and what we believe. And our world crumbles. Our world crumbles. When I was in seminary, I went to a Unitarian Universalist seminary, but it was part of a consortium of seminaries. So there were a bunch of Christian seminaries around, as well as a Buddhist school and three Catholic schools, because apparently you need three different Catholic institutions. Nonetheless, all of them very liberal. They were located, unsurprisingly, in Berkeley, California, okay? But even still, like, I went to take classes in Hebrew and Christian scriptures at a Christian seminary, and they taught all of the things about archaeology and history and textual criticism and all of these things, and I would watch week after week as young people who had gone there because they loved church and they loved the Bible, hearing that it wasn't all exactly literally true. And I would watch them have this crisis of faith. And so for some people, what happens is their world crumbles because if one thing isn't true, then the rest of it must also not be true. So often, when that happens, people just reject it all. The baby and the bathwater. And these become the zealots we all know. Sometimes they are, as one of our happy humanist members once described them to me, the angry atheists, right? The formerly evangelical who have put their heart and soul into something that left them just as adamant that there could be nothing of value in a tradition that claimed inerrancy but didn't match the facts of science and archaeology and the texts that we found in other places that provided to us. And if you have been the victim of religious bullying, right, trauma and spiritual violence, it can be really protective to wall yourself off from all of those sources of your hurt and pain. But, she said, those two are not the only option. There was one more. You could, she said, become a theologian. And so what she meant was that you could do this thing that is not like other traditions where thinking theologically is just about thinking about God of the universe or the world that God has created or God's many children who populate it. As Unitarian Universalists, we do theology, but we do things a little differently. For us, thinking theologically is about asking questions about what we believe and why we believe it, and as importantly, what we will do because of it. It's the practice of looking back at the texts and the lives of others and our own and asking what to make of this world and what this world makes of us. When done well, it is an awful lot harder than just saying, I believe the universe is basically good. Or, God's in nature. Or, I never would have done what they did. It's saying, here is the goodness that I have experienced in the universe. And also, nature is beautiful and bloody all at the same time. It's about saying, not only have I done what those other people have done, I've reflected back on it. And I'm not actually proud of everything that I've done. When done well, our theology says that I have been a human being for a while now, and I know how hard it is to be one. I know that it is about finding my place in the story and how it's speaking to me. It's about finding the person in the text that I have been, and then trying things out and seeing how they work. You don't have to write a treatise on atonement, or read the entire corpus of sacred literature, the whole world over, to be a theologian. But you do have to do this. You have to accept the invitation to consider what it means when you go back and you look at what you were taught and ask yourself what you found this time, now.
Genesis 19 was the first chapter of the Bible I ever read. Some of you may know it. It may have hurt some of you. Infamously, it tells the story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Our queer and trans siblings know it all too well as a clobber text used by bigots to claim that gay sex is sin. That is the reputation that drew me to it. As a young queer person figuring out where my sexuality and queer and faith intersected, this text filled me with dread and morbid curiosity. But that part of the story is not what I want to explore with you today. As a queer adult, I am, despite myself, much more interested in what happens after the climax. So, we begin the following morning meeting Lot and his family before the destruction of their home. Lot is an unlikely character for us to focus on. He's hardly a hero. Lot is instead a far from prophetic nephew of Abraham. He is bumbling, opportunistic, and socially inept, a foil for the virtues of his uncle. This morning, he is dragged to his feet and dragging his feet. He knows his neighbors have acted immorally. Liberatory readings of this story understand that the sin of Sodom was in fact a lack of hospitality, as well as greed and sexual violence. Lot was hardly the most moral person himself, but he still was nothing compared to his neighbors. So we might wonder, why the clay feet, Lot? Why not get out of there and watch it all burn behind you? You may have asked someone in your life that question. Someone may have asked you that as well. Why not leave this situation that we both know is so bad? Sometimes I have felt like the angels trying to drag Lot's family out of harm's way. I have not understood someone else's hesitation, at first anyway. If ministry has taught me one important thing, though, it is that I need to pull back the curtain and ask, what is really going on here? That answer isn't often clear at first, but the pastoral imagination, the empathetic imagination, is a muscle we strengthen with practice. So let's return to Lot's story for some of that practice. Here, he looks out on the plain before him alongside the angels. He says to them, "Look, that town over there is near enough to flee to. It is such a little place. Let me flee there. It is such a little place, and let my life be saved." I hear grief in these words. It's as if he's saying, please don't take everything from us. When we read farther back in Genesis, we know that Sodom isn't the only place that Lot has lived. We know he came from somewhere else. He came from farther east with his uncle Abraham and their family, from the city of Ur in modern Iraq. Lot knew someplace else, and still Sodom was his home. We imagine he met his wife there, and they raised their family there. So they bargain with the angels to lessen the destruction of this place. He held some grief for the city where he and his family probably made friends and made families of their own. All people he must now leave behind if he wants to survive. We can imagine then that no matter the sin, no matter the pain, there was something redeeming that Lot's family found there. Our story ends with Lot's wife looking back and famously turning into a pillar of salt. Despite the editors of Genesis giving her no name and no more than 3 sentences, I find her compelling. Unlike her husband, we have no context for her or her life. What is she doing in this story? Scholars suggest that her fate is a way to explain peculiar salt deposits found around the Dead Sea, which are hauntingly human-like if you look at them. But that doesn't tell us why we remember her for looking back. Why did she care that such a wicked city burned? In her last collection of poetry, Ursula K. Le Guin considered how to answer this question. She included the poem we heard earlier to imagine the last moments and thoughts of this woman deprived of name and dignity. Remember me, she says, the laughing child who seldom did as she was told or came when she was called, the happy woman that loved her wicked city. She tells the reader, don't remember me with pity. I saw you plodding ahead into the desert of your pitiless faith. I looked back, not forward into death. If Lot hesitated for a place where he raised a family, but not the only place he ever loved, how did his wife feel? Imagine the grief of leaving the only home you ever knew, the place where your mothers and grandmothers were buried, where soon everyone you knew would die. Imagine being a woman who nevertheless chose the defiance of memory and longing, even though it meant the punishment of death. Few of us may feel this woman's fatal defiance. Few may meet a woman like this ourselves. But I met women like her a few times when I worked with refugees many years ago. And I know I will meet this woman again. There are immigrants and refugees in our communities who have left the pain of all they knew in another country. And there are people fleeing other parts of our own country. If you've paid attention to the news or listened to family members, you know this. There are many people leaving their homes here, leaving cities and states which strip them of their rights to make decisions about their bodies, or to even grant them any kind of safety. Local organizations like the Transcontinental Pipeline are helping many trans people relocate to safer states, states like this one. It is dire and holy work to welcome Lot's wife and her family today. This hard and holy work takes housing and food and transportation and the money to make all of these things happen. It also takes love, the love of pastoral imagination, the love to meet and hold grief even we don't understand it. I feel like Lot's wife sometimes. I look back at the only home I have known before this one, which stripped trans people, my people, of our civil rights earlier this year. The home that continues to erode in so many other ways. And still, I'm not Lot's wife, not yet. So I remember the gift of love. I remember that love is not pity. Love is not demanding that grief twist into something I can personally understand. Love is food and shelter and compassion to keep our hearts open wide enough for someone else's pain. May we all be so loving.
Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn.
Bring many names, beautiful and good, celebrate in parable and story, leanness in glory, living, loving God. Hail and Hosanna, bring many names. Strong Mother God, working night and day, planning all the wonders of creation, setting each equation, genius at play. Hail and Hosanna, strong Mother God, warm Father God, hugging every child, feeling all the strains of human living, caring and forgiving, till we're reconciled. Hail and Hosanna, warm Father God, great living God, never fully known, joyful darkness far beyond our seeing, closer yet than breathing, everlasting home. Hail and Hosanna, great living God.
Join me now for the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of compassion. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. As we go about our days, our weeks, may we remember the gift of love we each can offer this world. May you be blessed and be a blessing. Amen. So may it be.
There are places I remember all my life. Though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone, and some remain. All these places have their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I love them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there's no one compares with you, and those memories have their meaning. When I think of love, it's something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them, but in my life, I love you more. Though I know that I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll always stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more. Thank you.
So it's kind of silly. I got to know Joni Mitchell music and Ava Castle music out of a movie when I was 25. Yeah, movie Love Actually. Oh yeah. Okay. And I just went down a rabbit hole with both of them, and my mom's just like, "You were born in the wrong era."
Right. So that, I don't know if the other day I right? She wrote
I know.
then I listened to the one you did.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah, yeah. I know because it's like she's living the song.
Yeah.
I love, yeah, that's, I mean, I realized that in my Michael's great to fun because I leaned toward the older version. That's the one I heard first.
Yeah.
Or not the older, the newer one when she's older.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite songs of hers.
Definitely. And you sung it so well.
Thank you.